Hi, I'm going to show you how to pick the right types of database for in Azure for SQL Server. Make sure you don't pick the wrong ones and show you the price differences when you pick the wrong ones versus the correct one, which you might need. So this is going to be based around a standard database for a general application, not a high performance one, not necessarily a data warehouse and one a multi-terabyte database, just your standard application database. And we'll show you where people go wrong and where they can save hundreds of pounds or dollars. So what we'll do is we'll start with looking at the pricing calculator. We'll talk about general purpose databases versus the DTU model, and also talk a little bit about elastic databases and when to use them. We'll also talk about a new thing, which is savings plans for databases, and also compare that to reservations. We'll talk a little bit about serverless as well, which we have done another video on that as well. And I'll give you some tips on database optimization in general, so not necessarily to do with platform specific stuff. So if we flip over to the pricing calculator first, I'll just show you how you can find your way around there and look at the cost differences, and you'll see straight away. And then I'll build a database and show you the example of what the price difference is. Okay, so here's the pricing calculator. You can see that at azure.microsoft.com pricing calculator. So the first thing you'll come to is this screen. What you want to do is you can see SQL database here, but if you can use these categories here as well. I'll add that to the estimates. So if I bring that down here, I can see all the different options I've got. So where do we start? So this is about platform as a service. It's not a virtual machine. It's a managed SQL database platform for you. I will also notice that it's in dollars at the moment. So if we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, we can change to whichever currency you want. So I'll go into UK pounds here. I'm just going to give you some general guidelines. So let's pick the region that you're in. In our case, I'm just going to put UK South. We can have a single database or elastic pool as well. So an elastic pool is basically gives you an amount of compute and storage that you can use for multiple databases. That's really useful when you've got a lot of databases and the key thing is that it's best when they've all got different usage patterns. So if they're all like being maxed out all the time between 9 to 5 a.m., it may not be your best option. But if you've got some that are quiet in the mornings or some that are quiet in the evenings, or daytime and the evening, that could work out quite well because it shares that capacity across all the databases. So if we use single database, now the default, as you'll see, is a vCore, virtual core, general purpose, provisioned Gen 5 2 core. So that's your default. So if you go into the Azure portal, for example, and just say I want a database, that's what it's going to give you, whether that's actually what you want or not. And let's take a look at the pricing of that without ignoring the rest of the stuff here. So you're looking at £315 a month just for that single database. So you may be setting a database up for testing or development, and this is what we see really commonly. Someone just wants a database, so I'm just going to click next, finish. And it's also the same if you do it through VS Code or something else, which I'll show you in a moment as well. And then you'll be paying 315. That's a constant charge. There are savings options in this, which we'll come to in a little while. So you've got savings plans and reservations as well. You've also got another option here called serverless. You'll see our other video about that as well. That could be a good option for you. So what that does, you can say a maximum number of cores you want is 6, for example, maximum memory and storage as well. And that will scale up and down as you need it. So that could be a lot more cost efficient. And a good thing about serverless is that if it's idle, you stopped billing for that compute. You still charge for the storage, but you're not charged for the processing of that and the SQL license for that as well. So that can be really cost efficient where it makes sense. Now, you've also got to make sure that your applications can support it as well, because when that service goes to sleep, when it's idle, it may take a second or two to wake back up. So what you don't want is your application falling over when it tries to reconnect. So you want to have some retry logic in there to make sure you can make use of this serverless model. And we do have customers using that, and there can be really good cost savings on there. So if we just switch back to the vCore, the standard provisioned one, and let's just talk a little bit about these options here. So you've got savings plans now for databases. Notice that you've only got a 1 year option for savings plans. So you can save quite a bit there, 23% you can see here. And you've also got 3 year reservations, 3 year reservations. Now, reservations are good because they're pretty much tied to a specific region and specific family, which we'll talk about in a second as well. And you can actually cancel reservations as of today, which is what, June 2026. With savings plans, you can't actually cancel those, but you can trade them in and um, things like that. So um, you've also got on this side, if you've got the licenses as well, let's say you own SQL Server licensing for your on-prem software, and you've got software assurance with that, you can tick this box and you'll notice the price goes down even further. So if we've got 1 year savings plan, that drops, and then if you do your 1 year savings plan here, 241 based on that savings plan, and then hybrid benefit, then you can reduce your costs that way as well, provided you've got the correct licenses. Now if you compare that to a DTU, so again, your standard developer, somebody who's testing out the platform and just wants a database that's not absolutely going to get hammered, you could switch to a standard one. Let's say if you want to actually to be of any use, you want to really go for S1, S2, or even an S3, for example. That's gives you um, database transaction units, and the price of that, as you can see, is £137 per month. So there's like kind of almost 3 times cheaper than the vCore model. So and then yeah, you can add your retention and your backup against that. But you will also notice on here you don't have the savings plan and reservation. So that's just something to keep in mind, to making sure you pick the right database type. So if I flip over to my database here, so I've got a database inside here. If I go to create a database, let's just take a look. SQL database. Just a random name, and then yeah, you can see my default here is Gen 2 Gen 5 2-core database here. So that's what I'm going to get. So I'm going to get the £315 database with the geo redundancy enabled. Now let me just see if that's available in here as well. Geo replica, yeah, that's already enabled. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I would get. And again, if I go to any tool, could be VS Code or SQL Management Studio, I could connect to my database server here. As you can see, I don't have any databases there, but if I were to create one, new database, call it whatever I want. If I just click OK, which is tends to be what most people do, click OK, there you go, you've got a new database, and it is the Gen 2 vCore. But if I wanted to change that, I would go into here, specify my tenant, just bring that over here a second, pick my tenant, and then I can change it to what I actually want. So I can do a geo redundant, or I want a local database. Do I want the Gen 2 one or not? So I can specify here the general purpose. I can do here standard, and then I can choose the S1, S2, whatever I want to do. And again, you'll see these databases are going to cost a fraction of the default one. So that's where we see a lot of people getting quite high cost in Azure, that they don't actually, if you need those kind of databases, perfectly fine. But if you don't, then it's not something that you want to just go and do a select defaults on. So hopefully that just shows you a brief overview of the calculator and the things to look out for. That's where we see most people getting some high costs, and databases are not actually even being used, are getting charged £300 per month. So just be careful, you might actually need those databases for specific workloads. So this is just to show you those differences. And then let's look at savings plans and reservations as well. Let me just flip over to this. So some points about savings plans. So you've got savings plans and reservations for compute, but now you've also got them for databases as well. What's eligible? You can see these. So it's also eligible for things like Cosmos DB now as well, and Postgres. These are something that you can apply your savings plans to. A reservation, you can do 1 to 3 years. Savings plans are just 1 year, as we saw in the previous pricing demo. You can't actually cancel savings plans as well. And you can scope them to management group, subscription, region, resource group as well. And they're quite flexible in terms of regions as well. So if you apply it to one of those scopes, even if you move those databases to a different region, or if you have different databases, different regions, those saving plans will apply to those, whereas the reservations won't. But typically, if you when would you use each? So if you've got continuous workload, it's stable, it's going to be in that region, it's going to be that family. Just like if you had for a VM, if you've got a D series V2, for example, you buy reservations, or V4 or 5 now, you buy a reservation on that. You can spin up further machines, and that reservation is going to apply to that too. So if you're not changing those things frequently, then a reservation, it could be the right way, because you get much more of a discount on those as well. It's for more dynamic and evolving workloads, or things that might change, and also change regions. A savings plan may be the best option for you, but speak to your license provider or your distributor for that as well, to look at your specific scenario. Yep, and the other things I was wanted to mention about general database optimization. So a lot of times we see customers increasing their resources, chucking more memory or CPU processing power at it, whereas they really should be looking at the database design itself. Now, if it's a database from a vendor, you don't always really, well, you don't get a chance to look at the database itself, but some of the things that you need to be looking at, if you have got control of that database, is the design, the structure of the database, the tables, the indexes. Is maintenance being done? Is index maintenance being done? Things like, use the Azure recommendations as well, but don't just follow them blindly. Look at what it's telling you, and they may or may not be a good suggestion, because while one index tweak may work for a search query, it could absolutely be disastrous for a deletion or something like that. Look at things like retention of your data. Do you need to store as much data? So not only from a performance perspective, also a data security perspective. Don't store more than you need. Log retention. So you've got housekeeping jobs, for example, cleanup jobs. Do you need to keep years worth of that? So keep that um, you know, trim as well. Look at things like statistics, defragmentation, and also query optimization. Now, the queries that your users or your applications are running, are they optimized? Could they be written better, and could your indexes be designed better for that? And that's where most of the gains can be had, without spending too much money on basically adding more hardware to speed up your database transactions. Okay, yep, that's all I've got. A quick one today, just to go with one of the blogs that we've written. It gets quite a lot of hits. It's quite popular, so we thought we'd create a quick up-to-date video on the subject of saving money on your Azure databases. So yep, thanks for listening, and you can contact us on using our link there on LinkedIn. You can see what we're up to, our events, things that we are interested in, and the events that we go to and sponsor as well. So you'll find out more about us that way. So yeah, take care. Thanks very much.